For a layman, if I ask you, how will you define PR? Because the audience which I have right now, who just know the term PR, marketing, advertising. Okay.
So you go as you are
Uh-huh.
and you come out looking better than you are. Marketing is about going to the beauty parlor and then going to the party and becoming what you think you're looking like. If you say that I am reducing GST एंड मार्केट में सब लोग बहुत खरीद रहे हैं तो अगर फेस्टिवल सीजन के बाद वो खरीदारी नहीं दिखता है यू आर नॉट able to convince people, though you may repeat yourself कि हम कर रहे हैं हमने कर चुका है और इससे ये हो रहा है.
India's first fully social media driven elections.
As somebody who's done elections for a long time, I
Right.
started doing elections when the late Mr. Pramod Mahajan wanted to set up a crisis communications center.
Even the latest New York election, the mayor there, he was keep on making reels. And that's how we think that's how he won. Full circle, we are talking about karma and all.
Yeah.
You don't believe in all these things.
I tend to believe in observation over intuition and very low profit business. People who get in there to be flashy and create a big impression about themselves ain't gonna happen. Meaning the old adage that the best way to make an airline.
Hi everyone, welcome to Beyond Talks with Shrinngar in collaboration with Dwarka Moms and Kajal, our space जहाँ हम बात करते हैं उन चीज़ों को जो सरफेस के नीचे होती हैं, the stuff that actually shapes our world. And today, and yes, today is very special because we are sitting down with a man who doesn't just understand narratives, he designs them, redirects them, and sometimes quietly rescues them. He is India's original, the OG image guru, the co founder of Perfect Relations, and the strategist people call when perceptions became the real battlefield, Mr. Dilip Cherian. A name that has shaped political messaging, corporate confidence, and the way India thinks, reacts, and remembers. What I love about him is this: when he speaks, you don't just learn PR, you learn psychology, power, behavior, and the art of reading the room. So today, we are diving into politics, public mood, corporate crisis, influencers culture, and all those narratives जो हम feel करते हैं पर शायद articulate नहीं कर पाते. So grab your coffee and settle in, and let's go beyond the obvious. This is Beyond Talks with Shrinngar, and my guest today is Mr. Dilip Cherian. Thank you for this opportunity to talking to you.
Thank
it was
you,
a
Shrinngar.
pleasure. So before asking any serious question, I just want to ask, how come you entered into this PR industry? Long back, it was not an industry at all even.
You know, I had three choices in life actually. To be an economist, which I was trained to do,
Wow.
then to continue in economic analysis, all of that, policy making. The second was journalism, which I had done for 10 years and more. And the third was to look at a completely different direction. And in general, with me, the option always is to do something completely radically different. Okay, you must have the skills for it, but I like to just reinvent myself. And I think part of the reason why I did this was the idea of reinventing what I was doing.
Or maybe I could say that you were a visionary.
I don't like to give myself those airs and graces. In fact,
Okay.
I think that vision is if you succeed and actually, stick to what you're doing 3 years from then. I have this 1,000-year rule, which I've explained to entrepreneurs before, that essentially, if you have a good idea and if you run it for 3 years successfully, then you've got a business.
Right?
If you don't, you can call it a passion, you can call it a fashion, you can call it a failure. Okay? But essentially, I think that you've got to give it time to mature and to become something that is serious. And I think I found my calling, as it were, when I started doing PR.
So what was the industry back then?
Pretty, the PR industry in its core did not exist. Okay,
Still?
it was largely, there were a couple of foreign companies who were trying to do this, but they were all parts of advertising agencies. So
Right.
if you're an advertising agency, आपको ये ऑफर करना था so that you can, ये भी हम करते हैं.
ये this was a part
हाँ,
only.
वो
हाँ
360 डिग्री बोल के
हाँ
हम
हाँ
सब कुछ करते हैं सर.
जी.
बट आई थॉट दैट एडवर्टाइजिंग एजेंसी जो पीआर करते थे, लार्जली वो दे वुड से हम फ्री में कर देंगे या हम कम दाम में कर देंगे. I felt that the role for communications and the role for PR was fundamentally different from advertising. Advertising would never be believed because it was dealing with purchased space, and PR dealt with what I call conviction space, where you convince people that there was a viewpoint which the company, the person, the political party had, and therefore you needed to hear. So I said, it can't be a freebie. That's the first thing I did. The second thing I realized was that you could not leave this to marketing people or, you know, government relations people or anything. You had to have access to the boardroom and
Right.
access to the founder or the CEO. So from the very beginning, when I created the business, I said, this business is about consulting with the top man.
Right.
अगर उनके पास टाइम नहीं है या उनको समझ नहीं है, then there's no point working with them.
Correct. 100%. Because you have to put on their vision to the public.
That's right. बीच वाले जो है ना, they will start asking you, what have you done today? What is your product? What can you show me? Can you give me a report of what you did? And I'd say, no, take me to the leader. And the reason I did that was because I felt that if you wanted to create a space for top level strategic communications, you had to do it this way, not some other way.
Right.
So that's how I started.
Great. So, for a layman, if I ask you, how will you define PR? Because the audience which I have right now, they're like normal people who just know the term PR, marketing, advertising. So, how would you make them understand in simple words, what does PR do? If as a company, as an entrepreneur, I'm going out for it, okay, I want to do my PR, or as an individual also, if I want to do my personal PR. So, how would you define the words?
PR is the art of magnifying your qualities and minimizing your failures,
Which marketing doesn't.
which marketing cannot do. I'll
Okay.
explain the difference between PR, marketing, and advertising. PR is about I'll tell you, it's a bit like going to the beauty parlor. Okay?
Okay.
So you go as you are and you come out looking better than you are.
Okay.
That's the end. Okay?
Okay.
Marketing is about going to the beauty parlor and then going to the party and becoming what you think you are looking like and behaving like and selling that to whosoever wants to receive that. That's marketing. And advertising is having your friend say how good she's looking. That's advertising.
Okay.
So essentially, the core activity of making you look better than you are, of hiding a blemish which you happen to have that morning, is
Right.
PR.
It's a concealer.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, just as much as is projected is concealed. And wo concealing mein is also an art. Because you don't want to lie. You want to be able to conceal it just for the moment so that attention moves on to something else.
मतलब, showing off your flaws in a beautiful way.
No, I would
Okay.
say that temporarily allowing your flaws to stay hidden for maybe 2 hours or 3 hours,
Okay.
okay, for the big party.
Okay. So that's for my audience जिनको PR नहीं पता. So coming back to serious questions, if I'm sitting across you, I have to ask some serious questions.
Yeah, if you insist.
I would try. So in India today, what's moving faster? The government story और द रियलिटी ऑन ग्राउंड, और ये गैप क्यों है? एक नरेशन है मीडिया में.
You know, there are there are different ways of looking at it. To my mind, गवर्नमेंट जो पॉलिसीज करते हैं या जो कोशिश करते हैं, सारे सक्सीड हो नहीं सकता. पर what happens with some governments is that हमें एग्रेसिवली दिखाना है कि हम जो भी कर रहे हैं
बहुत अच्छा
वो बहुत अच्छा है, बहुत सक्सेसफुल है. प्रॉब्लम यह है कि आप किससे कम्युनिकेट कर रहे हैं. आप कम्युनिकेट कर रहे हैं जिन लोगों से जिनको उसका असर लगना चाहिए या पड़ना चाहिए उसके ऊपर. नाउ इफ यू से दैट आई एम रिड्यूसिंग जीएसटी एंड मार्केट में सब लोग बहुत खरीद रहे हैं, तो अगर फेस्टिवल सीजन के बाद वो खरीदारी नहीं दिखता है, then you are not able to convince people, though you may repeat yourself कि हम ये कर रहे हैं, हमने कर चुका है और इससे ये हो रहा है. जब तक लोगों को महसूस नहीं लगता है तब तक that impact will never be as great. What PR can do very often is PR can project growth at the time when there is growth and begin to hide the flaw of being part of a slowdown when the slowness is felt. So I think that PR is better when a government wants to use its power to communicate its policies. If you tend to use advertising more, people don't believe it because people say मुझे तो महसूस नहीं लग रहा है.
We are not seeing the changes, right?
Correct.
It's happening in the current government also.
It happens with every government.
Every government, I would say.
Enthusiasm बहुत ज़्यादा आगे दौड़ता है to reality.
But why this happening? Why this gap is widening?
You know,
what
I-
isn't projected in the media and what's really happening on the ground is a huge difference. Why is it happening? Like
दो
it's-
चीज़ें हैं. One is over the last few years, media has lost its credibility.
Correct.
That's one. Let's keep that aside. The second is that you want to push a narrative very fast when you know that, like a poda, it takes time for the narrative to get its roots and to actually give you flowers. तो आपको वो पेशेंस दिखाना होगा, और वो पेशेंस अगर आप नहीं दिखाए तो देन पीपल विल कैच ऑन कि ये फेक फ्लावर्स है.
fake plaza. That's happening. So, do you think we are entering in a post-fact India, जहाँ पे reels are being used as news, memes are creating opinions,
यू नो
और facts का पता ही नहीं किसी को?
क्या है इस वक्त पीपल्स अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ द वर्ल्ड, इसमें बहुत सारे नए इन्फ्लुएंसेस आ चुके हैं. रील्स इज वन, you know, there is memes, there is
then
YouTube,
podcast even.
there is YouTube, there's podcast. तो आपके कानों में और आंखों में बहुत सारी चीजें
Lot of information.
You know, there's a lot of information mixed with misinformation, and what happens when you do that is that, like with either an old person or a child, when there is a huge volume of stuff being projected at them, they either shut off or they only listen to one thing, which may be right or wrong, but they listen to only one sound. And this, what it happens is, and I'm talking about at the two extreme ends of the spectrum of attention span. तो इसमें बहुत ज़्यादा मैसेज लॉस होता है.
Right.
जो आपका एक्चुअल मैसेज है वो बहुत ज़्यादा लॉस्ट हो जाता है, एंड पीपल बिलीव द वर्स्ट. मीनिंग इट्स देयर इज दिस थियरी इन इकोनॉमिक्स व्हिच वी वर्क विद व्हिच सेज दैट bad money drives out good money. So you have fake notes, they will circulate more than real notes.
Correct.
So similarly, when you have a situation where there is high pressure sound and noise, then bad sounds will dominate over good sounds.
Good sound. So it's happening in India only, or is globally?
You spoke of post-truth, and I
Right.
think that that's an important distinction to make, and that happened I would say from the last 15 plus years. Okay? And post truth is the result of, to my mind, the result of two things. One, because the other opinion was not being heard, people wanted to hear the other opinion. Okay, you had a world where one kind of opinion was dominating.
Right.
The second thing that happened 15 years ago, you can say 10 years ago, 20 years ago, whatever. But the access to media became a lot more.
It's quite easy.
Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, this, that, and the other. A Nobel Prize winner in physics told me the other day
Okay.
that the langur on the street gets as much face time in today's media as I do. So why should I speak?
Right.
You know? So what has happened is that in this great democratization of media,
Media.
everybody thinking that they have a voice, the buffoon
Yes.
has as much voice as the brilliant.
You're right.
And when the buffoon gets as much voice as the brilliant, then you begin to shut your ears off and you listen to whosoever is most convenient or whosoever is closer to you or whosoever is
Louder.
louder or push that rubbish into your face.
Right. And
That's what
buffoon can
happens.
obviously
That's right.
push it louder.
Yeah.
So that's why the most intelligent people or the learned people are being quiet.
Are tend to be quiet and tend to discuss things only within closed circuits. And unless you have access to that closed circuit, you're totally out of it.
Right. 100%. I agree to it. I agree 100%. So are we heading towards India's first fully social media driven elections?
As somebody who's done elections for a long time, I
Right,
started doing elections when the late Mr. Pramod Mahajan wanted to set up a crisis communications center, a
Okay.
media monitoring center. And I remember I did that in the garden of the MP's quarters. From then I did a couple of elections, did the Congress election, which won the against the BJP, against the India Shining campaign with Aapke Haath, Congress ke saath kind of thing. But having done multiple elections, let me tell you that the first social media fought election has already happened.
Yeah, true.
Okay.
That has happened in
Now,
2014.
now will it get much more
Voice.
driven by that? One doesn't know. Because I think that globally now, we are finding a kind of pushback, and people want to see real leaders. They don't want to see them on a third screen. That's one factor. The other factor is that everybody has become the screen has become an extension of their hands.
It's accessible.
Yeah, they've got the screen in their hands. So, is that what they rely on? My view is that they rely on it a lot more. The reliance will keep going up and up. But at some point of time, there will be an inflection point, and as people in the business of political management and political campaign management, I'm waiting to see the first signs when that becomes the non-dominant factor, when that is no longer in the majority. That will happen.
That will happen.
It's inevitable.
It gonna take time
It will take time. It will
because
take time.
globally also elections are being fought on social media. Election, the mayor there, he was keep on making reels, and that's how we think. We think that's how he won.
You know, the first social media election was actually fought by Obama. He had
Okay.
the most sophisticated method of creating content for social media and using social media. In those days, influencers hadn't been invented, but he created influencers which were local and worked with it. In the last elections, we worked with what is called micro influencers. The chef in the Nizamuddin market became an influencer. So his influence was confined to the 500 homes or the 2,000 homes around Nizamuddin. But his influence was more because you believed him more. You knew who he was.
Connection was real.
Connection was real.
Right.
And I think that micro influencers will eventually give way to actually real presence of elected leaders or their representatives in locations and localities. So it will go
what
back
about-
to an older style.
So what about ground workers, people, the social workers,
That's
the
what I
party
meant.
workers? Yeah.
When I said local leadership, I meant ground workers. So I think you will come back. I don't know at what point of time, whether it's this election, next election, few elections from now, but I think you will find a resurgence of the relevance of local, very
Ground
micro
level.
leaders.
Right.
Yeah.
That will come again.
Yeah.
Because I think that life is a full circle, we have to come back to our origins again.
You know,
Do you think that way?
I think that there are, I'm not a full circle person.
Okay.
I believe that there are waves.
Okay.
So it's like a sinusoidal wave. So
Right.
there'll be ups, then that same thing will go down, then it'll go up again. So you just got to watch it a bit like a pendulum. So it's not full circle, but it goes from one extreme to the other and comes back. The pendulum never rests, but that is the nature of the pendulum.
So you are, as a person, a scientific person who believes in logics. Because once we talk about full circle, we are talking about karma and all.
Yeah.
You don't believe in all these things.
I tend to believe in observation over intuition.
Okay. Okay.
You have to observe what's going on and then make your conclusion based on that, rather than just get misguided and just go as you want into believing something because somebody has told you this or you've heard this.
Right.
I like to watch things.
Okay. So you are a person who's very observing.
I try to be. I
Okay.
try to be. Though my family believes I don't observe anything, but I do.
So family, we are all the same.
Yes.
So now, see, right now the indigo crisis is going on, right? And it's keep on happening from past 1 year almost. I will say the aviation crisis is coming on back to back. What is the real reason? It's actually the mismanagement or some back policy or some back कोई गलत intention है indigo के behind this chaos. What happened?
श्रृंगार, अगर हम इंडिगो के बात करें
Particular indigo, right.
वो अलग बात है, पर एविएशन सेक्टर की भी बात करना होगा
Right.
उसी के साथ साथ.
हाँ.
Indigo crisis at the moment is made by 3 factors. One, Indigo management and board. That's one.
Right.
Call them one. The second is the DGCA, which is the regulator of airlines.
Correct.
And the third is government's intention and policies. So let's take the 3 separately. What is available so far in the public domain by observation, which is the process I usually follow, is that this is an airline where you could predict that there was going to be this crisis. You could predict it, but you refused to do that because you thought you'll be able to bully both government and DGCA at the appropriate time. And why could you do that? You believe that because you had 70% of market share.
Correct.
DGCA says आपको तैयार होना है 9 बजे तक. You are the regulator. आपने बोल दिया कि 9 बजे तक तैयार हो जाओ. Now it is your fault if you don't find out कि 8 बजे तक नहाने के लिए भी नहीं गए.
Right.
So then you know that you will not be ready by 9.
9. Right. 100%.
It is your job to check at each stage कि कितना तैयारी हो रहा है. Just like we were watching the setup for lights and sound,
Right.
you have to know कि इतने ये तो process होंगे, तो you have to have somebody watching to see ये हो रहा है कि नहीं. That's the third. The third group, which is government and policy making, you've never really treated aviation as infrastructure. Banks don't give loans to aviation companies. So you have to have equity or you have to have funding from overseas. So that is a big problem. If you really want everyone who wears a Hawaii chappal to be on a Hawaii jahaj, then you got to make sure that multiple airlines are created and you cannot have a monopoly or a duopoly.
Correct.
Shrinngar, I have been PR for, I will not name them, for at least 3 airlines in India. I've
Oh,
seen what happened to them. One of them is still flying. My view is that aviation is a very necessary and very low profit business. So people who get in there to be flashy and create a big impression about themselves ain't going to happen. Meaning, the old adage that the best way to make an airline is to allow a billionaire to invest, he will then become a millionaire.
right.
Okay?
That's what's happening. That's what
Absolutely.
we have seen.
Now, if you really think that aviation is important, and it is for a country like ours, with the huge distances and the aspirations of people, then you've got to make sure there's a minimum of 4 major airlines operating in the country. Otherwise, it does not work. How do you do that? There's policies to make it happen. That's
Right.
how it should be.
So, do you think there was a bad intention of Indigo involved into this chaos? We missed that point.
No, I didn't miss the point. I didn't want to over
Okay.
labor the point.
Okay.
But since you're insisting on it, I'll tell you the truth. The board, and I've also been on the board of several companies over the years. The board has a duty, which is under law, to check whether there is any violation of the rules and regulation. So you say that your suppose you are on the board of a car hiring company. You know that the law says that in 15 years your car has to be junked.
Correct.
If you know that your fleet is already, some cars are 10 years old, some cars are 12 years old, some cars are 2 years old, you as the board have a job to tell management कि मुझे प्लान बना के दो कि हाउ विल यू मेक श्योर दैट 15-year-old कार्स को हमें यूज नहीं करना पड़े, हमें कैपेसिटी प्रॉब्लम ना हो. इट इज द बोर्ड्स जॉब टू इंस्ट्रक्ट मैनेजमेंट कि ये करके दिखाओ, मुझे प्लान दिखाओ.
Right.
और हर क्वार्टर पे व्हेन यू बोर्ड मीट्स यू हैव टू गिव मी एन अपडेट एज टू व्हाट यू हैव डन.
Correct.
Agar if you don't do that as the board, you are the first thing at fault. That it is your job to monitor and to lay down what is the parameter that the management should follow. If they don't follow it for 2 quarters, get rid of them.
Right.
There's no shortage of managers in this country. There may be a temporary shortage of pilots, but that is also because the company decided not to invest in training.
Right. So obviously, from you, I can make it out there was some mistakes of the Indigo as well, and it was intentional.
You can't have such mistakes unintentional when you have the kind of people you have on the board. Meaning, they're not all buffoons there. They are really bright people there,
Bright people.
and they should have been able to spot it.
And these days, a new kind of a PR is emerging, apology. Every company now and then comes with an apology headings in a newspaper. How would how would you see that?
First of all, there is the apology, and then there's the meme of the fake apology, okay, which is also equally viral at the moment. Now, I think apologies are best given when you can show real intention of improving. An apology given without a displayed intention of improvement is a fake apology. What is Indigo announced that it will do to make sure that it has invested in pilots and will do that immediately? Nothing.
Nothing.
Where is that announcement?
Nothing is
So the
happening.
intention is not real.
So again, this is a kind of a marketing or PR they are doing these days. The company just to cover their, again, conceal their blemishes or the flaws.
You know why it
And
is.
will this work?
It is why it is not good PR and why it will not cover the blemishes is the public that is affected is seeing everything. Public sab jante.
सब जानती है. Okay. So perfect relation helped shape India's PR as we were discussing. You were the pioneer in the PR. What was the toughest challenge you faced in your early years?
I've forgotten.
Once
I've
you,
forgotten
oh my
what it
God.
was. Because you just go past it. You just say, let's go on to the next thing. So, I am one of those who has constantly driven my car by looking at the front
Not the
rather
real.
than looking at the rearview mirror. That's the philosophy on which I've worked. Okay, I've always said, don't worry about what's just happened. Look to what you need to do now to make sure it doesn't happen. Okay, just make sure you go forward to be able to accelerate than worry about decelerating.
Actually, what has been taught to us as kids, अपनी गलतियां याद रखो. It will help you. आगे future में mistake नहीं होगी.
I think it's very good for you to tell children that. That's probably why we are raising a generation which has not the clue about how to go forward.
Right. So PR was acquired, was restructured, right, by the company. So do you think the justice, the company where it was, PR was like consecutive top number one PR company for almost 14 years consecutively,
20 years.
20 years, I'm sorry. So once it was acquired by the other company, the justice was done,
It's difficult to
and how it changed strategically and culturally.
see when I took the decision to sell Perfect and allow it to be acquired by a global company. The intention was that when you've reached the top of the mountain, you realize that you will either slide down or you should sell out. So I decided that the right option is to sell out.
Right?
And I don't regret it for a minute for two reasons. One was personal, to do with management of the company, and the second was to do with how I felt the industry was about to change.
Okay.
Now, I'll come to the first one. What happened is that it took us 8 to 10 years to build the company, then for 20 years. So I ran the company for close to 30. When you're at the top, you realize that you spend, especially in the last 5 years, you spend too much of your time deciding on, Bombay's big boss is fighting with Bangalore's big boss, has a problem with the CEO who's sitting in Delhi, and Hyderabad is saying, we are growing faster. I didn't want to get into all this because, it's a waste of time. It may be called people management, but it's not a highly creative business. So I was taking my eye off the ball because that was what was necessary to resolve. So administration, HR, and finance became the things that you focused on instead of strategy, growth, and communications techniques.
Right.
So when I found that more time was being spent on that, I said best is to sell it out to somebody whose strength is administration, HR, and finance. Unko karne do ye. Becho.
I was like, I'm a
That-
creative person.
That's one. The second thing is that, and this answers your earlier question, and I'm not trying to duck that question.
No, no, no. Obviously.
I felt that the industry was beginning to change. The day of the large agencies was coming to an end, just like the dinosaurs had to die. So I think that the structure of large PR companies is no longer suitable to delivering the kind of services that the big clients want. They want small, well structured, extremely focused, and highly experienced teams to work who have experience of their industry. Now, when we built up Perfect Relations, we could do 2 aviation companies, 1 telecom company, 3 mining companies, 4 garment companies. Now, I think that if I look at 2026, 27, all the way to 2030, you will find smaller specialist companies who are focused on 2 industries at the most,
Niche.
or 2 services at the most, and don't provide that. In PR also, we became 360-degree providers. So I think you don't need to do that. So the future is going to be like the cycle of life. It's going to go into a smaller, more specialist companies, more niche companies, as you said, which will provide services and make revenues.
Okay, so these two were the reasons which you feel that you have
That's
to
right.
let go, right?
I decided that it's best to allow somebody else to come and acquire the company. And when a giant Japanese company like Dentsu wanted to make an offer, we said, fine, the company
So
is
did
yours.
Denso did the
Acquisition.
justice?
Dentsu, as I said, is a large company. Now, because it's a large company, it functions very well on finance, HR, administration, all of these things. But can it be creative? Can it do the things that the future of PR needs? We'll have to watch and see. They're new to the game. Let's see what happens.
Okay, okay, fine. So you are known as India's image guru. So how you maintain your own brand, personal brand, and in building credibility of your personal brand, in building other institutes' branding?
You know, image guru is something that is used by others to describe you. But in doing anything to create my own brand, I'm a great believer that less is more. Honestly, I don't give too many interviews. I may
Right.
participate in discussions on television, but interviews about myself are minimal. Okay, it's by choice. There's a lot of requests pending, but I tend to be very careful and not allow too much of that because it can become an obsession in itself. Okay, so that's very important. The second and the more important thing is that I allow my work to speak for itself. I allow my clients to speak for me. I allow my political clients to say, दिलीप भाई से बात कर लो या चेक कर लो उनसे. Many years ago, I was opening a restaurant for Sachin Tendulkar.
Okay.
So I went to discuss the format of the launch, etc., etc. Then I said, "आपको थोड़ा training दे दूं and on questions, media." So he said, "My bad, just we're talking." So I realized there's no reason to train him again. Okay,
Right.
because if his bat does the talking and that was his voice, there's
Right.
no point trying to change him. He is the brand. Okay,
Sachin
so
Tendulkar.
I recognize that in many cases you allow the brand to do the talking about who helped to build the brand. And that's far more robust and real as a means of communication. So you ask the question how people should build their own personal brand. The answer is quite complex, but I'll try and break it down into two or three simple
People
rules.
who are looking for personal branding, like people like us, if in case.
When you're looking for personal branding, the process is complicated. And as I always tell people, don't try this at home. Find a boss, find someone, a guru who can give you the mantra of what will work for you. Because what will work for Shrinngar will not work for a Kajal.
Right.
What will work for Kajal
Will not work.
cannot work for Shrinngar. Okay, that's one. So you need to understand first, you begin the process by understanding what is it you're trying to highlight and what is it you're trying to conceal. That's point one. The second thing is you have to build up a track record of success. Now, you very often people say, but so and so at the age of 12 has become a sensation, so and so has done this with doing nothing. There will always be exceptions of that kind, and sometimes you don't know what their story has been before. You only see the story after.
Right.
Okay? So, therefore, don't go by that. The process requires patience and it requires perseverance, both. Patience and perseverance. And the third thing, which I always tell people as a rule, is understand what and who your enemy is. आप इस गोल के लिए अटेम्प्ट कर रहे हैं. Who else is trying to be there? So you got to understand who is your enemy. You can't.
We need to find out that.
You need to find that out. In fact, the fundamental thing about strategy, which companies, which film stars, which you know, professional lawyers, a lot of lawyers I work with, they will refuse to answer the question, who is your enemy? The only one who answers that question immediately and without hesitation is the politician. He will tell me who is your enemy.
Correct.
But all the other categories, politicians, doctors, I've worked on the image creation of many of them. Film stars, singers, they will never say, who's your enemy? No, I don't have any enemies. Bus, then you're a failure.
Maybe they are putting the word competitor, not the word enemy, tagging it as.
I always tell people, understand who is your enemy. I'm not interested in competitor. That is different.
Okay.
Competitors, there'll be many, but there's one person who's your enemy. And you have to identify who that person is, who that company is, who
और
that...
वो जरूरी होगा.
Ha. And if you're not willing to come to terms with that, all the other steps are not enough. You need to have this one also very clear in your head.
And how will that help?
That will help because then you know what your offensive and defensive strategy needs to be to tackle that.
Right. Quite deep. We need to suck in.
There is a lot of understanding of this. That's why I say, don't try this at home. Ask for help.
Ask for help.
Get somebody who's willing to commit and who has the competence, not just commit, who has the competence to help you along that path.
Because आजकल Instagram image gurus बहुत है market में.
देखिए, image gurus बहुत सालों से भी है. When you had the fake prophets and fake gods are innumerable in every market. Okay,
correct.
At every corner you will find somebody who's willing to tell you something about yourself, and most human beings are susceptible to that.
Right. So how close do you fix, since we are talking about influence and image guru and Instagram, so how close are we to deepfake crisis? And that could ruin a leader or a brand overnight. And are we prepared, or we should do more preparation towards it?
This is not a question that can be answered in a static sense.
Right.
It's a dynamic question. Because what you're seeing today is one kind of technology that is moving so fast that you as the user or the victim of it are not quite sure where it begins and where it ends.
Right.
So, is Dilip Cherian's interview with someone else, not Shrinngar, someone else, the real interview? Is that the real him, or is that created by deepfake?
Correct.
The good thing about it is that because almost everybody has been the victim of it at some point of time, they're willing to give you some leeway if something which is a total deep fake about you works in the public domain and damages you. Okay? What is the best defense? The best defense is being able to have enough which is in the public domain, which is defined by you, so that others know that this is the real you. In fact, I was having a discussion on this last night with a filmmaker, very prominent filmmaker. And I said actually, and the other person in the conversation was the publisher of 3 or 4 magazines. So, and they were both ladies. So we were talking about deep fakes with the filmmaker, and I was telling the publisher that I believe that just in that same sinusoidal wave that I'm talking about,
right,
you will see the rise of magazines again, because what is printed can't be fake. You have an editor, You have an owner, you have a printer, and you have a person who was interviewed. And that person is the real person who's given the interview.
Right.
So there's many levels of check. So I was saying that unlike the film, where I don't know whether in the relaunch of Sholay, which is going to happen in the next few days, whether the actors are fake, whether deepfakes were used to create a new ending of the film or not, or whether the original ending has been put back, and whether this is actually the actors or whether you did it without the actors, you don't know. But when you see something in print, then you know it is real. Just like a book in the library is a real book. Of course, you can have fake copies of those books, but the book itself being printed is reality.
Right.
So it's going to be an interesting game to watch how it.
I'm trying to understand this that wave theory, and it's actually making sense to me now, because yes, everything who goes up will come down. Right. So this will going to end, not end, but yes, the
Something else will rise, and you will find ways of checking which are also using technology to find, that is, the new age of fact checkers is also here.
right, correct. So are we becoming a society of perception over truth every day? एक परसेप्शन किसी के बारे में भी, किसी ब्रांड के बारे में, लोगों के बारे में मार्केट में आ जाता है.
आपके मुंह में घी शक्कर. आई लव इट. जितना परसेप्शन पे हो उतना अपना दुकान चल जाता
दुकान चल
है.
जाएगा.
बट दैट इज नॉट द पॉइंट. द
Okay.
पॉइंट इज दैट perception, when it runs too far ahead of reality, the reality begins to crash.
So is it happening?
It is happening. If you create a perception of something that does not exist, we started with talking about government, we talked about cricketers, we talked about books, we're talking about this. I think even the moment perception, even if of a politician or of a film star, goes far too ahead of what the reality is, then people will begin to see the dissonance. When they see one thing and hear a different thing, they don't accept either thing.
And it's happening in these days. So will it end again, do you think?
I don't know whether it will end or whether you will enter a new reality.
Okay. Simulation, what people are talking
Yes.
these days.
Yeah.
I still need to understand what simulation is all about. I'm hearing this word quite often.
I won't get into a tutorial on this on this podcast. You'll have to come back. I'm a specialist on simulations,
Oh,
so I'll
wow.
come back. We'll do that
We'll talk,
separately.
yeah. 100%. So are companies today more scared of public outrage than regulation? Has the comment section become the new watchdog?
I think companies need to. Okay, first of all, let's look at the prescriptive side.
Correct.
The prescriptive side is that companies need to worry about regulators
Rather
and
than
rules and regulations more than anything else.
Yes.
But there are two watchdogs on companies. One is the regulators and the other is the share market.
Okay.
If the share market shows a fall, and coming back to Indigo, Indigo's share has fallen substantially, it signals that the market doesn't trust your behavior or trust your future.
Again, because of the public outrage.
Public outrage, and because they know that you've violated the law.
Yes, because you violated the law.
Because there is a rule that
Huh.
you violated. Okay. Now, companies need to worry about perception, because perception can very often, in the short run, influence their marketing capability, their share price, as well as the perception of their ownership.
राइट सो स्टार्टअप्स आजकल ये भी बहुत हो रहा है ना, स्टार्टअप्स यूनिकॉर्न्स बहुत जल्दी बन रहे हैं, राइट, बट उनकी गवर्नेंस नहीं है. एवरीबॉडी इज रनिंग बैक टू द वैल्यूएशन थिंग, और उसका भी एक परसेप्शन क्रिएट हो जाता है, यू नो द कंपनी इज प्रॉफिटेबल, वी आर गोइंग टू आईपीओ. सबके आईपीओज आ रहे हैं आज की डेट में. सो हाउ डू यू सी दैट?
You know, success on Shark Tank is not equal to success on the share market.
राइट.
Success on the share market is not equal to an asset class. So if your aim is to be an asset class, to be a kind of classic which people realize, then the unicorn has to stay on for a while. at the moment, just like we are talking about deep fakes and communications, I think the world of private equity has completely altered the dynamics of success in companies. Private equity companies are investing in companies with the expectation of a valuation,
Right.
which never really comes. And when you have a lot of spare cash in the market, chasing people who are turning out companies which are created for valuation purposes, then you're really getting into a troubled time. And that is why you've had multiple, shall I say, black periods as far as certain industries are concerned, because they've gone into this belief that they are valued, and the valuation tends to chase valuation. And that's the dangerous thing.
And that is again, PR is behind that.
PR is very much behind it. I
Right.
plead guilty on that. But I believe that, PR can take you up to a certain point, but to hold you there, you need
You have
top
to be
quality
grounded.
management.
Right. You have to be grounded.
You need to. Grounded is too much to expect. I think
Okay.
people want to fly, but you need to make sure that your altitude doesn't go too far up.
And that's happening. That's actually happening in these
That's
days, companies,
Yeah.
startups. Right. So, like, we have talked about a lot, but I want to talk about women in journalism now.
Women in journalism.
Right.
Okay.
So,
Why?
why I want to talk about it?
Yeah.
Because I'm a woman and I want to see how women can make space in everywhere and how women's standing is in each and every industry or sector. That's why I want to come to that point.
Let me begin by saying that when I was running Perfect Relations, it was a group of 6 companies,
Okay.
of which 4 had women as CEOs.
Okay.
So, women power, if it is done because you want to create this new category of women in power, is the wrong way to do it. You've
No.
got to look for women of competence. You've got to give them the space. You've got to give them what makes it work for them, and you've got to understand that the best managers are those who fight and keep their position, not those who are promoted because of their sex or because of who they are.
Obviously, I don't believe in that being promoted on the basis of sex. I just want to understand what is the women face, the struggles they are facing in journalism even today.
You know, I think that,
Are they having visibility challenges or anything like that in journalism these
I think
days?
that in journalism, women have
Or on a part media
probably,
line, media.
in the broad area of media, I think women have done exceedingly well. They continue to do well, and I think that they have taken much less time to achieve equality and superiority in this industry than in many other industries. You don't find as many women bankers as you find women anchors.
Right.
Okay? Now, I think that that's a problem, if you ask me, because anchoring or being the face of a channel is a softer task than being the head of a bank. It's a more complex task. Okay? I'm not trying to diss any profession, but every profession has a certain space in the chain of complexity. So I would like to see more women as
Maybe they're not giving
space
chances in
scientists.
the complex jobs. Is it so? Do you think?
No, I think that what is
Because
happening,
in media, face comes first. So maybe women's anchors are more into media
I
because of the
think I
face.
think I think it's a bit like the challenge of making children opt for STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and management, and medicine, than anything else, because the softer option, hi mera munna kind of approach. नहीं that तो मेरी लड़की लाडली है तो नहीं नहीं let her do this, it will just require makeup and sitting in front of a camera. It does not. To be a really good media person, you need to spend long hours. You need to be exposed to extreme hardship very often. You need to be willing to take risks. And it's not easy. So the fact that women have made their mark in this indicates that they can do this. But I would like to see women in strong positions in more complex tasks. Space engineers, nuclear power engineers, defense mechanics. Those are the areas I want to see more equality and more opportunities given.
And by the way, I'm a chemical engineer.
Wonderful, excellent. But you're doing something else, see?
I
That's
do.
what I'm trying to say. That when you're trained in it, you opt for the softer one, and that's not good.
No, I was into business for 17 years, and that was a complex business. That was not an easy business.
That's where you should be.
You should make life easy, I think so.
No, see, if the country has invested in creating a chemical engineer out of you or a doctor out of you, don't tell me that I want to be a stockbroker.
I've always heard this from my father. Why have let you done engineering if you're not doing anything into engineering?
Correct. Let you do also, I have objections
But-
to. Why have I inspired you to do it?
But I think we shouldn't be doing something just because we have chosen the subject to study. Engineering has helped me into this also. I have become an analytical thinker because of my education.
See, this is a cop out in my view. It's all right to accept it for the moment, but it's a cop out. Okay?
I want to keep it easy. So now, I just want to wrap it up and ask you a few quick rapid fire questions to make it light.
I don't play rapid fire, but you can
But
try.
yes, we can try at least. What's one lesson life taught you faster than any classroom?
To be willing to change when you can see the future and not stick to what you're practicing.
Great. What's the crookiest habit that actually makes you better at your job?
What is the quirkiest habit? I think the ability to multitask without seeming to multitask. When I'm
Okay.
talking to you, I have a problem solving neural network in play somewhere else.
You're hyperactive, I would
Yes.
say.
Yes.
One mistake you secretly glad you made because it taught you everything. I know you don't remember your mistakes, it's past, but then too.
I think that a mistake I probably made was not going further in my education in terms of economics. I wish I had pursued that to one more higher degree. And I think that today, if I were to live my life all over again, I'd probably want to go back and do that. But not having chased that allowed me to become an entrepreneur, which made me what I am today.
You're helping other economists.
Yes.
If your younger self met you today, what would be the most surprised about? What would be most surprised about?
I think it would be surprised at the level of continuing ambition, that I haven't stopped dreaming and I'm still looking for the next big thing to have fun with.
Oh, wow. So, what's the next big thing you're looking out?
It's confidential still.
Still?
But it's being hatched.
Okay. So, we're going to see it in near future.
Yes.
One unpopular opinion you stand by, even if the worlds disagree.
I believe that tough parenting should be the norm and corporal punishment in schools should be re-established.
Same here. I believe in tough parenting, as we are always raised. When you are stressed, chai, silence, or a strategic disappearing?
What is the first option?
Chai?
Chai is always the option, except that I tend to drink vast quantities of it and it works all the time.
Okay. So that is your stress thing.
Easily.
Okay. What's one tiny daily ritual that keeps your mind sharper than any PR strategy?
Walking into a ice cold bath every morning.
Seriously, in winters also?
Just now,
We should learn, Kajal. If success had a smell, what would it smell like to you? What's your favorite smell then?
a Cuban cigar.
Oh, okay. One book, one person, or one moment that changed your perspective forever.
There were two actually. One was a brilliant book called, which is actually an essay called In Praise of Idleness by Bertrand Russell.
In praise of
Yeah.
idleness.
And the other book that has changed my life is a line from the book Siddharth by Hermann Hesse.
And what was the line?
The line, I have to get it right. Yeah. The line is, Siddharth goes and meets this woman who's a courtesan, and he's a poor beggar outside her palace and where she entertains men. So he says, I want to be with you for the night. And she says, what do you have to offer me? And he says, I can fast, I can wait, I can think. So she says, what does that mean? She says, I can teach you to fast, but only if you can fast can you learn how to wait. And only if you can wait can you learn how to think.
Wow.
So she said, come in.
Oh, great. Wow. Quite deep. Last, if your life had a chapter titled Plot Twist, what moment would feature you there? ऐसा कौन सा मोमेंट है जहाँ लगा लाइफ ट्विस्ट हो
I
गई?
think the moment when I switched from being an economist to a journalist.
Okay.
I was being an economist and I was working in government, economic consultant, Bureau of Industrial Costs and Prices. And my boss asked me whether I wanted to meet the publisher of a new magazine. And I said yes. And I got the job and I became a journalist. In literally one Sunday to the next Sunday, I changed professions with no training in journalism.
ग्रेट सो अभी हम टफ पेरेंटिंग की बात कर रहे थे लॉन्ग बैक आप यंग रहे होगे तब आपके पेरेंट्स को इस पे एतराज़ हुआ था
My father was very upset that when I got in through the UPSC, I didn't take the opportunity because I thought it was boring. Parent को बहुत एतराज हुआ था. In fact, I nearly got slapped because when he came to visit me during the exams, my paper in the IAS exam was geography, which was a paper in those days. And he came to my room in the hostel, which he never did. He used to live in Calcutta and I was in Delhi. And he walked in and he said, what is your paper tomorrow? I said, geography. He looked at the book and he said, but you're reading history. I said, don't worry, Dad, I'll figure out. He just looked at me, saying, haath utha ke. I knew I'd get slapped, but he didn't. He was very patient by then.
ओके
And I was quite grown up by then.
सो यू हैव फेस दैट टफ पेरेंटिंग
Yes.
एट अ यंग एज आल्सो
Yeah.
एंड यू बिलीव इन दैट स्टिल
Fully.
और अगर तब फादर की बात मान ली होती तो आज क्या होते
Very bored. Highly bored.
सी दैट्स व्हाई आई लेफ्ट केमिकल इंजीनियरिंग
That's true.
now you'll agree to me somehow I was trying to make you come to my agreement
If that was the objective of this podcast, you've succeeded.
thank you
Way beyond talks.
थैंक यू फॉर दिस कन्वर्सेशन
Thank you.
और मुझे लगता है ये सारी कन्वर्सेशन मुझे याद रहेगी एंड आई कीप ऑन वंडरिंग ओके बिकॉज आई वाज लिसनिंग यू वेरी पेशेंटली एंड विल स्टे विद मी फॉर अ लॉन्गर टाइम टू
I hope
एनालाइज
so. I hope it stays on the minds and eyes of the people who are going to watch the podcast.
100% whoever is going to listen it very seriously it's going to stay with them
Isn't it a bit long?
no not at all
Are you sure?
yeah 100%
Okay.
yeah so thank you thanks
Thank
a
you.
lot
So, hi, Mr. Cherian, how are you?
Thank you.
Long
Thank you.
time.
Thank you very much.
So, coming back to the discussion, I just now, heard you and Shrinngar talking on intense topics of PR and personal branding.
I hope it wasn't too intense.
It was very informative, very
Thank you.
interactive. So, coming to me, as I am also an entrepreneur and I am the founder of Dwarka Moms community, so
Which is huge.
Which is huge. Thank you so much.
Dwarka is like
Yes.
an ocean, no?
Yes. It has become over a period of say about 15 years now.
And how many people are there in the
So we started
in the community,
in the community,
extended community?
So we started with 10 to 15 women on board, and now we are across. We are around 40,000 plus women connected with us online and offline. When we throw our events and meetups, the smallest is with gathering of 50 women to about say 5,000 footfall over our exhibitions that we do, the grand gala event.
Exhibitions are basically sales of
Yes, so
shawls and plants.
yes, absolutely. Women entrepreneurs, we bring on board to showcase their products and services.
But 40,000 people online at any
Yes.
given point of time is huge. So,
Yes. All
congratulations.
Thank you so much. All with support of definitely influencers and big tycoons like you, and always showing support and trust in us that we are on the right track.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So coming back to the topic of PR or personal branding that we were talking about, I would gain more knowledge from you with perspective of what is how does PR and personal branding go hand in hand? If there
You
is a
know, I think a lot of people make the mistake of thinking about PR and personal branding as one bucket.
Great.
There are actually two buckets.
Okay.
Your personal branding works for certain kinds of products and industry. And the PR that I was talking about earlier with Shrinngar
Correct.
was really for organized big industry.
Big industries.
So now let's talk about the personal branding bucket for a while.
Correct.
And there are a lot of people today. In fact, I'm currently consulting with two unicorns, as Shrinngar was talking about. And the unicorns are currently living in the belief that personal branding is more important to launch themselves, and they are thinking that a quickly created personal brand is a shortcut to creating the kind of brand positioning
Correct.
that their operations stroke companies will require. And my job is to tell them, no, it's not. Then they'll give you 15 examples of why it is. And then my job is to say, if you want that, then this is the fee and let's do that. Knowing fully well that that is not the ideal choice. That's one. So let's come back to personal branding. Personal branding, if it is for business, as opposed to if it is for matrimony, is defined as being able to show that you are the best man for the task at hand, or you are the best woman for the job at hand. That's one. And very often people don't realize that this personal branding can be achieved by one reel which goes viral. But if you look at the number of reels which people are floating into the universe in the hope that they will turn viral, the chances are equal to a snowball in hell.
Correct.
Okay? Today you can't go to a hotel lobby, a wedding, or even a wildlife sanctuary without some moron making a reel. Everywhere.
Absolutely, yes.
People are living, meaning people are not living their lives, they're actually making reels.
Yes.
Okay.
Everything goes on social media.
Yeah. And they think it all works. It doesn't. Last night I was at a very famous global brand of whiskey was having a whiskey tasting at a ultra luxury restaurant And I told them that, look, don't invite me because I don't drink whiskey. No, sir, we need you. I said, why?
Why?
They said, no, no, we know that you will add something to the evening. I said, I'm very good as far as food is concerned. And I've run a restaurant in my life. I've been on I'm happiest being on the jury of best restaurants or best chefs. I do all that.
It's more food related.
I do that all the time. Okay, and I love it when I'm called to judge a food contest of some kind. But I said, why? They said, no, because, and they showed it to me that, look, when we're talking of a whiskey, there are 4 parts to it. One is seeing it and judging the product. The second is looking at the color and the kind of feeling it evokes when you see it. Besides this,
how glamorous or how it looks.
And the third is the smell. They said, as far as you're concerned, you may not want to
drink
you may
it.
not be the best person to taste it and say X is better than Y, but you can do all the other 3 things. So I said, it's a sneaky way of getting me in, but I'll come. Okay, so I fell for that. Coming back to personal branding, the personal branding that was in play at that point of time is that Mr. Cherian has run a restaurant. He's a jury member for food things. And therefore, it's worth getting him, even though he will not opine on the whiskey. Okay. Now, if you ask me, in another life, I would like to have been in the food or hospitality business in some role, or a bookseller in some other role. But my personal branding has been focused on, he's a communications expert and an image guru.
Correct.
I think that you have to recognize that there is role 1, role 2, role 3 if you're blessed. Otherwise, at least have a robust role 1. And that is what personal branding should be about. What is your role 1? Who are you? You're a person who's doing this.
Correct.
Now, a lot of people, especially starting up entrepreneurs, think that they can be in the clothes business, or in the home decor business, or in the some more complex people and those with chemical engineering like a Shrinngar should think of a perfume business.
Correct.
Okay, thinking that these are but then they want to be also in the glamour business, also in the health business.
That doesn't work.
Doesn't work. You have to recognize that
your niche.
For the first 10 years of your life, ragadte raho, Munna bhai, and just stick to it. Do it, become good at it, be known for it.
Very true.
And then you can start doing other things.
So, coming back to the wine company, the brand,
the whiskey company,
the whiskey brand that you had gone for, were they using your presence at the event where the viewers don't know whether you drink or no, right? So for them, your presence was more important than you actually tasting the whiskey. So they would use the pictures, that Mr. Dilip Cherian was there at the event. So it gives them more weightage to their brand, basically. Because the viewers, as we are living in the world of, half unknown news as it is, when the reels go viral and people start buzzing about, what's happening in the city. So definitely the viewers do not know that you don't taste. So they already have an opinion, it was an event where, Mr. Dilip Cherian was there and he was a part of this brand. So definitely the brand carries more weightage then. Was it an eyewash?
That's a terrific analysis, Kajal, and now I'm terrified. Okay. Maybe I was being used and I didn't realize. But I promise you that I can't be gamed so fast.
Okay, great.
So my Insta reel will come out before their Insta does. And I will say that as
oh my God.
So
that is a very critical analysis.
That route is not going to happen. Okay. But yes, because Devi, my wife, and I, are, shall we say, people who have enjoyed and been blessed by a certain level of visibility.
Correct.
And because we are actually good at what I call table conversation, therefore it works out well.
Yes, yes.
And despite being teetotalers, both of us,
Correct.
Devi and I tend to be able to talk to the ambassadors, the entrepreneurs, the influencers, and the filmmakers, everybody who's
Correct,
there,
correct.
because we have a reasonable exposure to all kinds of people.
Very true.
But if you ask me, personal branding is about being known for who you are.
Yes.
So my wife writes a column.
Correct.
My wife has a political sort of
Very
focus in what she does socially. And because of what I do, our brands are very clearly defined.
Correct.
That's why I always say that if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a young entrepreneur or a older entrepreneur starting out your journey of entrepreneurship,
Correct.
don't try and be too many things. Just be who you are.
Just be who you are.
And just focus on that and try and see if there's a fit to your business. Otherwise, don't bother about your personal branding. Focus on your business's PR. There's two different things.
Okay.
So don't try
Correct.
and create overnight
So the-
a personal brand, a powerful brand for your product or your service. You can't do all of that.
Can't do all of that.
किसी से
So,
नहीं होता.
according to you, we can, I mean, an entrepreneur or a bootstrap entrepreneur can either focus on personal branding or can go for their brand PR. Thumb rule?
I'm so happy that you used the word bootstrap. Focus on the boot. That's all you can avoid. That's all you can afford.
Afford.
So focus on that, and that is not to do with your face. So focus
it.
on the foot, forget the face, and get on with creating that brand.
Great. So now for after say about a few years, what timeline do you define for an entrepreneur who's been into their own business for say about 3 to 5 years, down the lane, and scaled up according to their comfort, and when do they start building a personal brand for themselves or a PR brand for their brands? I mean, do they start doing a PR to scale up to the next level?
So
I mean,
do the math. The Cherian formula is, for your business to be successful, give it 1,000 days. So I'm not saying 3 years, I'm saying 1,000 days.
Okay.
1,000 days of continuous running your business, you have a business.
Correct.
Till then, you have a startup.
Great.
After you cross 1,000 days, focus on building the PR for your product or your service.
Great.
Then, at the end of 5,000 days, start adding persona to that on top.
Great.
Okay? The ratio again is 1:5. That is 5 for the brand or the product, 1 for the persona after 5,000 days.
Okay.
1,000 days to prove you have a product or a service and a business.
And a sustainable business.
Sustainable business. End of 5,000 days, start getting airs and graces and thinking you're important, and add your persona to it, and that's when you start.
Wonderful.
And the ratio has to be 1:5. So keep the math in mind, and this is a math which is highly privileged.
Highly
It is literally the Cherian formula.
Wow. That really sounds interesting.
I've shared something
It's an
with you,
eye-opener.
with you today, which has not been shared except to clients before. And I hope
Wonderful.
it helps your 4,500
Definitely.
entrepreneurs.
Definitely, it will definitely help. Coming back to the same, if you talk about budgets, so how much should one invest into, brand promotions and PR relations? Can somebody define for, say, about mid-segment businesses? If you can be, because I am
Difficult.
with a mid-segment entrepreneurs.
Difficult to give you a number because I know that people will then clutch onto it, say Dilip sir ने कहा था.
प्रॉफिट रेशियो में से कितना इन्वेस्ट करना चाहिए अगर हम बात करें तो,
You know,
और करना भी चाहिए या नहीं?
I would say that the first rule, which I already said when I was chatting to Shrinngar, was that don't try this at home.
Correct. Hire somebody.
If you can't afford to hire somebody, don't bother doing it. It's waste of money. Okay,
Got it.
you're just wasting your money. Okay.
Yeah.
Second is that if you want to do it right, um, I would say that try and give about 10% of your profit to investing in a PR program.
Program.
Okay. 10% is what you pay for the PR program. 10% more you have to put as expenses for making that program effective or
Effective.
visible. So if you're not willing to, as an entrepreneur,
Almost 20%.
20%, if you're not
So I
willing
think
to
the
put
mistake that entrepreneurs do here coming
of profit.
yeah,
okay?
yeah, of
Now-
profit.
Yeah.
They
Now-
invest, but they don't keep the other 10% to run the program.
Yeah. So they think that and there are today, because the business has become a commodity,
Correct.
there are PR agencies will say 1 lakh per month fees pe hum kar lenge.
Correct.
But you got to
Yes.
spend that 1 lakh more on giving them
Very true.
enough money to play that game out there in the cricket
Very
field.
true, very true. So we usually get caught. I mean, where even I come across, entrepreneurs in my community who actually have started investing the same budget what you have just mentioned, around 1 lakh a year or 1 lakh a month. It varies from the scaling of their business.
Below 1 lakh a month, don't even do it.
Don't even do it. It's actually 2 lakhs a month. The crude fact.
A minimum of 2
A
lakhs.
minimum of 2 lakhs a month. So if you are saving on your profits, then only you can hire a professional to, scale
And
up.
that will be a very starting level professional.
Very
And don't expect magic out of them. It is like when you watch a juggler on the street versus going for a show at Las Vegas and when you're seeing magic.
Correct.
So there are different levels of magic. Now,
Very true.
you cannot expect the same magic from that juggler on the street,
Very
though many of them are very talented, that aside.
Quite informative. Quite an eye opener to,
But
actually.
Kajal, the real magic is that many entrepreneurs don't realize that spending on PR is part of your entrepreneurial cost
Correct.
of running business.
Correct.
So I would say take a percentage out of your turnover rather than your profit.
Okay.
Don't work that I will start PR when I turn profitable. Sometimes PR is part of the mirch masala to become profitable.
Correct.
Okay? So you have to decide what part of your turnover you're willing to devote to PR. And I'm not going to give you the numbers to that because it's too complex.
No.
For profits, easy
it's
to
an
say.
entire, different segment to study and then,
Yeah.
explore. So it cannot be done over.
No.
It
needs to be done
overnight.
case by case.
It's case by case, study by study. So absolutely informational. And to wind up, to wrap up with small, some insights or tips that you can give for entrepreneurs who are, out there for say about 5-6 years, and how can they position themselves better?
Okay. The 3 rules would be, the first is what I said, the expenditure proportion rule.
Correct.
The second is have a message which defines your product or your service and places it in a unique spot. This is not the blue ocean strategy kind of management rubbish. Why and what makes you unique as a product or a service?
Great.
Try and encapsulate one thing which makes you different
Stand
from
out.
every other product. That's the second thing.
Amazing.
And focus on that. And the third thing is be flexible enough to realize if that point is not working. Listen to the market. Get the feedback very quickly. Very often, we are shouting so loud that we don't listen
Adapt
to
to
what the
changes?
market is
Yes.
telling us. And the market is always speaking to you.
Very
so
true.
very often what happens with entrepreneurs is that they are so caught up in themselves कि they are spending so much time in their shouting that they don't listen to the
What is the need and what
yeah.
are you supplying?
Don't
The
get
demand
caught.
and
No, don't get caught in an echo chamber.
echo chamber.
That's
Okay.
that's the third rule.
Got it. So amazing having you, sir. It was
Thank you.
beautiful discussion that we had and so insightful. Really had a great time with you. And I'm sure
Appreciate
our
it.
entrepreneurs are going to learn a lot from your knowledge.
And if anyone needs help,
Definitely.
they can at least through you
Yes.
reach out, and then we shall try and solve at least one-line problems where they exist.
Done. That sounds
Thank you.
amazing. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This was Beyond Talks with Shrinngar. Share this episode with someone who loves good story or someone who seriously needs better PR in life. I'll see you in the next one. Same mic, same madness, new magic. Thank you.